Hello and welcome to Ear Biscuits. I'm Ellie.
I'm Lizzie.
And we're back with some more celebrity conspiracies. We got to talk to Rhett and Link about some of our favorites. Keanu Reeves is immortal and Lindsay Lohan has a twin who was killed by Disney.
Of course. But now we're back with our even more favorites and we get to delve into a little bit more detail on these theories today. Before we get into anything, I just want to say to you and also to all the millions of people that I assume are listening.
Millions.
Is that I am not an investigative journalist and I'm going to get some of this information wrong. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Yeah, but the great thing about conspiracy theories is that most people who dig into these are not professionals.
Oh, no.
If you can tell by the quality of most YouTube videos about this subject.
Yeah.
But we and I would also like to say before we start that in the world of conspiracy theories is large and wide and sometimes troubling. We like to focus on ones that we think are fun and plausible.
I don't know that mine is fun. Well, it does involve aliens, and aliens are fun.
Yeah, aliens are fun.
No, you're right. It's fun.
They're also sad at times, but for a good reason.
Aliens are sad at times.
I just feel like sometimes I'll get on a conspiracy theory thread and it'll be like, aliens are real, and I'm like, yes, I'm with you. And then it's like, also the Queen of England is a lizard, and I'm like, yes, love it, tell 100%. Me more. And then it's like, all of this one race are bad, and I'm like, no. Yeah. So sometimes it gets dicey, but
we're gonna stay away from that. Don't worry about that. We're not gonna stay away from lizards or aliens, though.
I think conspiracy theories are all about having fun and digging out the truth where it's been hidden.
Exactly. Under lizards. Don't trust them.
Don't trust lizards. Don't trust goats.
What?
They've got weird sideways eyes.
Okay, we can talk about this later, but I like goats.
I don't dislike goats. I'm just saying don't trust them.
Okay. I hear you have something to tell me about.
Yeah, I'm going to start.
Okay.
I want to introduce you to Lina Morgana. Ring a bell?
Wait, I actually feel like I have heard that name before. Why?
Probably because you're a conspiracy theory interest.
I am. I'm a bit of
person?
a truther. No, I'm not. I am not a truther. Let's not use that phrase.
Yeah, that phrase is a problem. But you do like the truth.
I do.
Period. Full stop. And Lina Morgana was a young woman from Staten Island, born to Russian immigrants. Who got tangled in a web with another young woman named Stephanie Germanotta.
Okay, I know who that is.
Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, because that's Lady Gaga.
True. Or is Lady Gaga Lina Morgana?
What?
And is Lina Morgana actually Lady Gaga? That's what we're going to be talking about.
Okay.
So basically, the theory here is that Lady Gaga might have brutally murdered a young aspiring pop singer in New York to steal her identity and use that to rocket her to success.
Of course.
The couple problems in this theory. There are parts of it that I think are actually quite plausible because on the road to fame, there's a lot of evil things that go down.
Right. How else do you make a dress out of meat other than by the person whose identity you have assumed?
Yeah, it was not cuts from a local deli.
No.
It was a human woman. But I do think some parts are plausible, some aren't. So I'm just going to lay out the basic timeline of events and then go into where things get a little dicey.
Okay. And I don't know any of this yet, so I'm pretty excited.
Okay. So in 2007, there was this New Jersey producer named Rob Fusari. He's a big player in this conspiracy theory.
Okay.
He was a producer who'd work with huge acts like Destiny's Child, Will Smith, and Beyonce. He was well known in the community, and he was looking for fresh talent. In his own words, he was trying to create a female version of the Strokes.
What? And he wound up with Lady Gaga?
Well, yeah, so a couple turns happened.
Didn't quite hit his mark.
Well, he was actively looking for talented vocalists and performers. And so between 2007 or 2006 and 2008, he discovered Lina Morgana, and a mutual friend introduced him to Stephanie Germanotta. which is what she wasn't Lady Gaga yet at this time.
Right.
So
She's at NYU.
She's at NYU.
With dark brown hair, playing on her keyboard in like thigh-high boots. I've seen the YouTube videos.
Yeah. Many people have. It's in the creation of Lady Gaga, in all of the official accounts, you won't really see Rob Fusari's name. And there's a couple reasons for that. But one might be because she murdered this lady.
Of course.
Yeah.
Continue.
So both of these women were independently working with Rob Fusari as talent that he'd found. And they were they allegedly recorded and wrote together upwards of 10, 11, 12 songs.
Wait, all three of them or independently?
All three of them.
Oh.
So
okay.
there is a song, and you can look it up and listen to it. I don't think we can legally play it.
No.
But there's a song that got released, the only Lina Morgana official release, where she's singing lead, and Lady Gaga, Stephanie Germanotta, is singing backup.
Whoa.
And it's called Wonderland with a U.
Where is
so
the U?
Wonderland, Underland. Wonderland.
Oh.
Like the underworld?
Or like the Germans, but like Wunderkind?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know any German, but I think that's a word.
Yeah. So obviously Lady Gaga has a goal of fame, right? So probably singing backup vocals.
Didn't love that.
While this chick, Lina Morgana, is singing lead and getting the main credit. That didn't sit right. And that came out in 2007. Somewhere between June of 2007 and August of 2008, things shifted, and Lady Gaga rose to prominence, got signed by Interscope, and released The Fame in August of 2008.
Okay, yes.
In October of 2008, Lina Morgana fell off the roof of Staten Island Hotel to her death of alleged suicide.
Yikes. Wait, so this happens after Lady Gaga has come to prominence and Lady Gaga has released an album?
Right afterward.
But wouldn't you think they'd off her before she released the album?
Well, I think that is a great point and a huge reason why this theory doesn't super hold up water.
I feel like maybe she was sad.
It's possible. And the sad truth is that obviously the most likely series of events is that one had the stuff and one didn't, or one was chosen and one wasn't, and the crushing defeat of having a dream and it not working out would result in depression and then suicidal thoughts and then suicidal action.
But that didn't happen. What happened is that Lady Gaga pushed her off a roof.
Right.
Like Boo Boo Kitty in Empire. I'm sorry if anybody watches Empire. I don't think anyone does anymore. I spoiled something.
It's really just you.
It's just me, and I love it. And I will not stop watching Empire. I will watch it until the day it stops airing.
There's so many good shows, Lizzie.
No, there's only one, and it's Empire. And I refuse to stop watching it, even though it has jumped the shark in an insane way.
Okay, so sorry, I'm diverging from the main timeline. You'll notice that we will jump around and it will be frustrating, but it's all to one end.
Get used to it.
Get used to it. So she died. There was no questions about her death being by suicide. There were alleged witnesses who saw a woman dancing erratically on the roof before she threw herself off.
Oh.
And hit a construction scaffolding on her way down.
No, that's a bummer.
It was rough, yeah.
Okay.
In this time, so Lady Gaga releases The Fame. She's a new artist. It blows up.
Right.
And she releases The Fame Monster almost a year later.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when Lady Gaga, we all know and love her, and we're listening to Just Dance ad nauseum.
Sure, I was in college. I remember this.
All these things are happening, and the official narrative is that Lady Gaga was discovered by Akon and brought into Interscope Records. And when asked about her persona, Lady Gaga says that she's always been Lady Gaga, but she only took on the name later. And Rob Fusari claims that he gave her that. He gave her that name, Lady Gaga, developed the persona with her at the same time that he was working with Lina Morgana. And like the Club Key the Club Kids scene at the time was all about wigs and insane outfits,
right,
and stuff like that. And there are actually several artists that claim that she stole their look. But Lina Morgana's mother comes out a year after her death, maybe 2 years, and says that Lady Gaga intentionally stole Lina's look and sound and like image to become famous. And this claim was from a grieving mother, and she also said that Lady Gaga stole her soul.
Sure, as one does when you want to become a fame monster.
Correct.
Yeah.
And stealing someone's soul is obviously not something that super holds up in court, so this didn't really go anywhere. But her mother said she didn't want to sue for any money. She just wanted Lina Morgana's music to be released.
I thought you were going to say she wanted Lina Morgana's soul back. Oh.
She wanted that too, but she wasn't going to push for it.
Sure.
She just wanted Lina's music to be released.
Well, her soul, I'm sure, was in the music, you know.
Yeah, well, that's the point of music.
Obviously. I'm a little confused, though. So the claim is that Lady Gaga stole this woman's identity, basically?
That's from the mother.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll say that this argument, this prong of the conspiracy theory doesn't really hold water with me personally because, okay, first of all, lots of artists repackage, reuse, get inspiration from artists of different generations with varying degrees of legality within that. That happens all the time. Lina Morgana, from everything that I've seen and looked up and researched, was not doing anything new. There's this pretty funny compilation of pictures of Lina juxtaposed with pictures of Lady Gaga where they like look really similar, but it's like Lady Gaga like standing like this and Lina Morgana like standing like this. I have my hands on my hips. And it's just a very normal pose, but they both have dark hair. Well,
yeah. Okay. Problem solved. They both have dark hair.
They both have dark hair.
She assumed her identity.
No one else can have dark hair.
No.
Yeah, none of those really hold water to me. I think there's a lot of more credibility with certain other artists who claimed that she stole their like creative characters to become Lady Gaga, not Lina Morgana.
Okay, but so where does the like conspiracy come in?
Okay, the conspiracy comes in with Rob Fusari. So they were actually in a relationship.
Lady Gaga and Rob. Okay.
Yes. So he met Lina Morgana first when she was really young.
Sorry, my mouth just like farted and I think it was audible in the microphone, so I apologize to anybody.
Can we go back and make that louder?
I'll do it again if I can. Oh, no. That was a little poot, but it wasn't what it did before.
I don't want to do this
to
going. People. Did
you
say the word poop?
Yeah.
I hate the word poop.
What? No, poot.
Oh, poot.
Not poop.
I hate it. I hate that we're doing this right now.
Poot?
And I put it upon myself.
It's fine. All right.
Poot is fine. As in Putin?
Yeah. Well, no. Don't. He's definitely listening because of my half of this podcast, which we'll get to in a minute.
Oof. Okay. So Rob Fusari and Lady Gaga were actually in a relationship that developed sometime between 2007 and 2008 when she met him, and they created a company called Love Child LLC. And the theory here is that he was working with both Lady Gaga and Lina Morgana together. He was also in a relationship with Lina Morgana, but she was underage.
Ew.
Gross. I know. Rob Fusari, not a great guy. And claims of his like creating Lady Gaga. I mean, you'll see this pop up all the time with powerful women, that there were like men who were like, I actually did that.
Yeah.
That have very dubious credibility.
Sure.
So the theory is that he was also romantically involved with the underage Lina Morgana. Lady Gaga knew that he might be a springboard for her, and they were in a romantic relationship. Lina caught feelings, was really jealous. She's on tape saying that she would literally do anything to become a famous singer.
Oh no.
And so it's just muddy, the year between 2007 and 2008, what happened, why Lina went from leading from singing lead to Lady Gaga releasing the Fame.
Also weird that Lady Gaga seems to have covered up any connection to this guy and this woman, right?
Yeah.
Like that you're saying that's not, their names aren't really listed all together on a lot of things.
Yeah, well, Rob Fusari technically has a producer credit on the Fame.
Okay.
But like, as for his lawsuit against her, where he claims to have created her and all these things, that never really went anywhere.
Okay.
So in that time, something happened where Lina went from feature to, on the street, didn't get signed, erratically dancing on top of a hotel.
Okay.
And I think the conspiracy here is just that the entertainment industry is awful and hard and vicious, and it can break someone's soul down. But the other conspiracy here is that this was all actually a very well constructed Illuminati sacrifice.
Yes, this is what I wanted to hear about.
Yeah, so I wanted to give them the most normal ones. Sort of their due. But is an Illuminati sacrifice, if you check out the YouTube page,
oh no.
like Truth Now or whatever. I'm not going to give you the real one because it spouts out a lot of things that I wouldn't agree with. But they put it together that Lady Gaga was actually participating in an Illuminati sacrifice to get her fame. So this is really common in Illuminati theorist world.
This one adds up.
Lady Gaga does a ton of the all-seeing eye stuff. Sorry, I just covered my mouth. She does this, and she does a ton of the 666 symbol.
Yeah.
With
Also,
the
I'd like to
hand.
point out that her wig that she's wearing is it the Fame Monster, where she has the whites that looks like a triangle?
Yeah.
And we all know that triangles belong to the Illuminati. So
you can see it all over her work. There's a very strong case that she's in the Illuminati, and this was an Illuminati sacrifice. Most clearly depicted in her music video. For Paparazzi, where she's like making out with Alexander Skarsgård, who always plays a convincing bad guy, and he like takes her to the balcony and they're kissing, and then all of a sudden she gets pushed off the balcony and falls, and they focus on that, and it's like black and white, and it's like, oh, the fall, it's the sacrifice thing. And in the Illuminati, it's all about secret messaging, and this is a not so secret message of like, look, I did this thing, I've sacrificed, make me huge. And she did.
Isn't it also, there's so many theories that like they make this stuff public and they make it apparent in music videos as kind of like I did this and I'm not even hiding it, and you can
it's not like the Illuminati meets at a round table of dim lighting. I
think they do.
I mean, I think some do, but it's a huge network of super powerful people that it's like, I think we get a lot of comments of like, do you guys actually believe this? And it's like, no, but also yes.
Yeah,
like why
of.
wouldn't you believe that this insane world is garnered? I think the Illuminati's fun, and I like to believe for the fun of it, and also I definitely believe in it.
Go watch the Katy Perry music video, Wide Awake.
Yes.
A little homework assignment for all of you out there. Go watch that video and tell me that there's not a ton of Illuminati and
really
MK Ultra mind control.
Yeah, so because there's not a big enough table to bring in everyone who's ever been inducted to the Illuminati because they killed someone.
Right.
You have to create public secret messaging, and then that unlocks certain things. It's like Scientology. You just become like a higher thetan, but in Scientology,
you have
Illuminati.
to pay a lot of money to be a higher, right?
Yeah, or pay in blood.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just scrub a floor with some toothbrushes for Scientology, right? Isn't that? Sorry if anybody's. No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize to the Scientologists.
Scientology is the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, did Lady Gaga kill Lina Morgana? Probably not. Did she sacrifice Lina Morgana for the Illuminati gods? Absolutely yes.
Okay. All right. I like that. All right. Well, I'm super excited to tell you about my conspiracy, which does involve the holy grail of conspiracy theories, aliens.
Yes.
But before we get to that, I wanted to show you something even cooler than aliens. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
It's our new Good Mythical summer tank top.
Wow, that is
Look
cooler than
at
aliens.
It is cooler than aliens. Also, I wore it in an Instagram post where I'm like really sweaty and dirty and disgusting, and the comments on it were all about how cool the tank top was and not about how repulsive the amount of dirt and sweat on my body was. So if you guys want to distract people from your sweaty, disgusting bod,
Or
wear
the
a good
truth about
Mythical summer
aliens.
tank top. It'll work for you like it worked for me.
Speaking of things that people have been wondering if they exist for years and years and years, it's
Yes.
this new and cool T-shirt.
Oh my gosh.
It says, "I want my GMM."
I always wondered
Good
if there was
Mythical
going to
Morning.
be an MTV inspired Good Mythical Morning t-shirt, and now it has Illuminati been confirmed.
Yeah.
See how I
if,
slipped that in there?
If you look in here at the M's,
Mm-hmm. Ooh, triangles.
that's an Illuminati triangle.
Yeah,
Don't get it twisted. We are part of the family.
right. That's our subliminal messaging to you. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to purchase these beautiful tank tops, t-shirts, sunglasses, or towels as part of your initiation ceremony, you can find them at rhettandlink.com/store.
Oh, yeah.
All right, now that we've absolutely killed that promo like Lady Gaga killed that lady.
Hey!
Okay, so before we even get into this, I just wanted to say that I am proceeding forward assuming that the CIA is listening to this podcast.
Wow, huge get.
Yeah, great. We're big fans.
Thank you for coming.
Right. Thank you for being here. I assume they're also listening to all of my phone conversations, which I'd like to apologize for. I'll try to bring you more interesting subject matter in the future.
Lots of deliberating about which restaurant to go to.
Yeah, which restaurant, and also like how much I want to pay for my cat's medical bills is like, that's probably 90% of the phone calls.
And it always ends up with, I guess it'll just be all of it.
I guess take all my money. It's fine. I would just like to say to those of you in the CIA who are listening that I'd like to ask that you just add the word allegedly to the beginning of every sentence I'm about to say. I feel that legally that should cover me from here on out. I allegedly believe everything I'm about to say, but does that mean that I really do? Allegedly, are we cool now? I think we are. So
You're cool with me.
excellent.
I'm not going to sue you.
It's not about you. I'm not afraid of you.
Why
And
not?
I'm not afraid of the CIA either. You guys seem great. So first things first, Marilyn Monroe, beauty icon, talented actress. You probably
Huge
heard of her
fan.
before, right?
Someone in the comments on the Makeup Charades video with Gabby and Chachi said that I have the face for Marilyn Monroe look. And I was like,
wow.
no one agrees with you.
That's not true. You did actually look really good with the Marilyn Monroe makeup.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you didn't have to get a lot of plastic surgery to look like that.
Thank you.
She did have plastic surgery, but that's a different discussion.
Nothing wrong with plastic surgery.
Not at all. She looked
Nothing
amazing.
wrong with your own face.
So Marilyn tragically died at 36 years old in beautiful Brentwood, Los Angeles. The death was ruled a suicide. The death was ruled a suicide, but as with all celebrity deaths, there are other theories as to what happened.
Of course.
Of course.
You're not a real celebrity if people don't trust your
No.
coroner's results.
No, like Elvis didn't die. He's an alien. Jim Morrison is partying on a beach somewhere. And,
Keanu Reeves will never die.
Keanu Reeves will never die. The sad part about this is that no part of this theory involves Marilyn still being alive, so that was misleading. But here we go. Now, for years, there have been conspiracies that she may have been murdered, as opposed to having tragically taken her own life. But just this year, a new conspiracy emerged about why she may have been murdered, and that's what I would like to tell you about today.
Okay, that's great because I have heard that she might have been murdered.
Right.
And having known no details about it, I've been like, yes, for sure, true.
Right. Well, of course, because I think what is at the base of all these celebrity conspiracy theories, especially with ones that are about like celebrities still being alive or, like something, you want to believe that something other than the tragic probable reality is what happened. So I think that's what spurs a lot of these. But as we've said previously, this does involve our friends from space, aka the aliens.
I love them.
I love them too. I feel like they're nice. I feel like if they showed up, I would be that lady in Men in Black who's on the top of the U.S. Bank Tower being like, welcome!
Hello!
She does get blown up, so I hope that that's not what happens.
Well, humans have famously depicted aliens as evil throughout time, and that's a conspiracy.
Yeah, I don't think they are. I feel like
Me
we're the bad
neither.
ones, and the aliens are showing up and going, oh no, and just turning around and leaving.
Yeah, picture Alien Covenant, directed by Ridley Scott, that just came out recently. But then the human beings that are in it are actually the aliens, and the aliens that are like are actually us. Like, that's
Right.
what we are.
Basically. So that's a whole other podcast that we can get to another time because I have a lot to say on aliens.
Yeah,
But the first thing I want to get out of the way with this is that Marilyn was a hot mess. Like that is not debated anywhere. She was a mess.
Emphasis on hot.
Yeah, very hot, but a total mess. She had a history of drug and alcohol abuse. She was treated really badly by so many of the studios that she worked with. And what I'm getting at is like, yeah, it is highly possible that something very sad and not at all suspicious happened here. But there is some weird stuff that could suggest otherwise. So we're going to go down that rabbit hole right now. Remember the whole like happy birthday, Mr. President thing?
Happy
birthday. Like really embarrassing.
Mr. Lizzie.
Oh no. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Marilyn Monroe performed at a birthday party for John F. Kennedy. And she sang happy birthday to him, and it was very provocative, and everybody was really uncomfortable as she was doing it.
Yeah, think about when I just did it just then.
But like so much slower and worse, and just, you know.
Somehow worse,
and not really what you want to be watching at the president's birthday party, but whatever. That occurred about 3 months before Marilyn died.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, very recent to when she died. So that brings us to the middle of this mess, because what's at the middle of this is the fact that she was absolutely 100% definitely having an affair with JFK, which this is not even debated at this point.
For real?
Yeah. No, I mean,
I've heard about it, but I didn't know that people were like, yeah, that was definitely
Oh, no, there are like pictures of them together. I mean, there's no doubt that she was.
I spent too much time on the conspiracies of the early aughts and need to get into this.
No, yeah, there's so much to this. So the level of the affair is hotly debated, because some people say, oh, it was just a couple of encounters. It wasn't like a big deal. Nobody really cared. Other people are like, no, it was very serious. She was very much in love with him.
Well, he was very hot.
I guess. I always thought Bobby was hotter, but this is not about which Kennedy is hotter. Although let us know if you think
they're both hot and powerful.
Right. She herself seemed to think that it was relatively serious, because there are friends of hers that have gone on record saying that she wanted to become the first lady. So, like, she had a game plan. Was it a solid game plan? No. This was not something she should have embarked after. You're going to love this. She reportedly called the White House, spoke to Jackie O.
Whoa.
Told her about the affair and admitted that she wanted to marry JFK.
Oh,
and Jackie O had
I almost swore.
I know. Jackie O had the best possible response. This is according to a book that was released relatively recently. She said,
oh my God.
I wish I could do Jackie O's accent, but I think you would have to like
just
drug
do
me.
Natalie Portman.
No, it's
Jackie
so weird.
okay,
Natalie
say it normal and then we'll try.
I wish I could do Jackie O's accent. I can't. I might try and do Natalie Portman's bad Jackie O accent. We'll see. I'm going to read it normally first. So Jackie O said, that's great. And you'll move into the White House and you'll assume the responsibilities of the first lady, and I'll move out and you'll have all the problems, which is the best response.
Wow.
Yeah.
Savage.
Yeah. She was
totally well deserved, though.
Yeah. She was like, you want this? You have it.
Good luck.
Yeah. It's a
I've
nightmare.
I've always known that being a politician's wife was
a
the
nightmare.
Worst job.
Yeah. And also like,
you're like, oh, you just have to like go to appearances.
No, it's a total nightmare.
You have to wear cardigans all the time.
Right.
Yikes.
She was also pretty young, very young. I mean, they both were.
Jackie O. Wow. What a response.
She was pretty awesome.
So wait, who says that conversation happened?
That is from a book. Let me see. That's from a book that was released relatively recently, and that is a friend that said that.
A friend of Jackie O's or Marilyn's?
Oh, shoot.
Okay, we can.
Why are you questioning my sources?
I just love it so much. I want it to be true.
I don't know where it came from.
We'll put a link.
Hold on. I just started typing Natalie Portman instead of Jackie O. That's the Illuminati in my brain.
The Natalie Portman Illuminati, which is...
Well, she's definitely in the Illuminati.
Just her, Zach Braff, and whoever her like weird director husband is.
Okay, here we go. Oh no, her husband's not a director. He's a ballet dancer. You know that?
Wait, I thought he directed Black Swan.
Natalie Portman? No, that's the guy who's dating Jennifer Lawrence now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jacob's shaking his head, yes.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I knew that one. Okay. It's a book called These Few Precious Days, The Final Year of Jack with Jackie. So it is a book that focuses on Jackie and JFK. I have not read it, so I'm not going to say that it's good or that you should read it. It might be garbage. It might be great.
Sure.
But
we have full-time jobs in addition to this, so
right.
know.
Yeah.
Sometimes we skim the articles.
Don't have time to read full things. Okay. Let me get back to where we were. Here we go. Okay, so yes. So Marilyn was not keeping this a secret. Here's where it gets a little crazy pants. Marilyn didn't just have an affair with JFK. She was also having an affair with his brother, Bobby Kennedy.
Wow, best of both worlds, baby.
Right. Yeah, the timeline is iffy. Not
best
sure.
of both scary worlds.
Yeah, not a world you should be dipping your toes into. The affair is not sure if they were simultaneous or not. The timeline is very iffy. Let's just say it was probably a weird time for everybody. There might have been some awkward family dinners.
They are, though, on record from what I know of her ugly husbands, the most attractive people that she.
I don't think Joe DiMaggio was ugly. It was just kind of weird looking.
Yeah, but weird looking has never been synonymous with hot as heck, like Bobby Kennedy.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, I understand. Now, Marilyn had a habit of going out and getting a little toasted at parties and talking about JFK and Bobby, which obviously didn't thrill the people who were in charge of national security, the CIA. So since she was doubling down...
We've all seen Scandal. We get it.
Yeah, this is basically an episode of Scandal. Now, since she was doubling down on her Kennedy fun times, she became a person of interest to the CIA. Which brings me to the fact that they were wiretapping her phone conversations.
For real?
Yes, for real. And
wow.
this is like... They were wiretapping her conversations. Some people believe she's being monitored as early as 1955, which actually could potentially predate these affairs with the Kennedys, which is interesting. So I don't know if that's the case, but that's one theory. Now, here is where the aliens come in, and I bet you thought we would never get to them. But
I've been waiting for them patiently.
They've arrived, my friend. A documentary was released this year called Unacknowledged, and it follows Dr. Stephen Greer, who's the founder of the Disclosure Project, in his quest to expose the fact that aliens exist and the government totes knows about it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I did actually watch this whole documentary, and I have to say I don't necessarily recommend that you watch it only because the opening credits are a relatively upsetting montage of just every bad thing that's ever happened, as far as I can tell. Yeah, it's set to like Louis Armstrong singing "What a Wonderful World."
Oh, it's too much. That's rude.
It's too much.
That's rude and uncalled for.
They show the guy in front of the tank in Tiananmen Square, and then an alien, and you're like, I don't connect the dots here, but I do like this song.
I was just trying to learn about aliens. I wasn't trying to like sob into my breakfast.
I'd like to point out that they don't totally connect the dots of that montage either.
Okay.
So, in this documentary, Dr. Stephen, or Steve as I'm going to call him, my close personal friend, Dr. Steve, Alien Man, whips out a CIA memo about a wiretap that concerns Marilyn Monroe. Now, the memo is dated August 3rd, 1962. She died August 5th, 1962.
Whoa.
Yeah, so this is 2 days before she died. Now, the memo indicates a record of a wiretapped conversation between Dorothy Kilgarren, who is an investigative reporter who was, among other things, looking into Roswell and Area 51.
She sounds cool as heck.
She actually is really cool and had a bunch of involvement in the lives of the Kennedys and some other things. We won't get too much into her, but I will say that she also died very mysteriously.
That was going to be my question.
Yes, she died very mysteriously shortly after...
Dottie, my girl.
After JFK was killed, I believe she was found dead because she'd been looking heavily into his assassination.
Oof.
So, she's interesting. Look her up. Anyway, this is a record of a wiretapped conversation between her and her friend Howard Rothberg, in which they are discussing a conversation between Marilyn Monroe and Bobby Kennedy. As far as I can tell, the memo concerns both wiretaps of Monroe and Kennedy and Kilgarren and Rothberg, but I am not a wiretap scientist, and honestly, it was very confusing. So I'd just like to drop an inception boom here and say that it was a wiretap inception. because I don't totally understand.
You know what?
You know.
From what I've heard from you just now, I'm going to accept that.
Great. That's great. As long as you're okay with that. There's several wiretaps involved in this memo. I'll leave it there. Now, the memo states that Monroe had been repeatedly calling the Kennedys, specifically Bobby Kennedy, and complaining that Bobby and Jack had both been ignoring her and she was getting angry.
Hey, sounds like me after any breakup.
Exactly. She's mad. They aren't returning her calls. They are ghosting her. She was threatening to hold a press conference if
Soon, literally.
Yeah, well, yikes. She starts threatening to hold a press conference if they don't return her calls, and this is where it gets dicey. In this press conference, she intended to divulge several of JFK's secrets, including a secret military base in Cuba and assassination attempts against Castro. Now, those happened.
Yeah.
Most importantly, she was going to talk about Kennedy's visit to a, quote, secret airbase for the purpose of inspecting things from outer space.
Wow.
And that was the big
outer
thing.
Space is not a code word.
No. And this is well before moon landing. This is, 1962. And Dr. Greer, Alien Man, believes this is referring to the remains of the 1947 Roswell crash.
Wow.
We could do an entire episode about Roswell as well, because it is truly fascinating. And there almost certainly was something weird that crashed there. Unclear what it was, but
yeah, the greatest celebrity of all is the aliens that we've never seen.
I know. And apparently they were like little, and some of them didn't survive the crash. And
No.
I know, buddies, they didn't make it in their interplanetary journey. But it sounds like maybe JFK paid their little bodies a little visit.
You think a nice one?
Yeah. I don't think he was like poking at their bodies, being like, wow.
Spitting on their little tiny alien forms.
They didn't do anything bad. All right. So, of course, this would be a huge national security issue if she were to reveal this information, not to mention the fact that it would make Kennedy's Let's All Go to the Moon campaign a little weirder if people are like, wait a minute, you're sending our people to the moon, but you know about these little alien men that landed in Roswell.
Okay.
Right. So,
but if they're little, it's like, what's there to be afraid of?
that's what I think. They sound tiny and adorable by all of the accounts. I watched all these accounts of...
but I guess that's what happens right before you get your head eaten off. Is you're like, oh, little guy.
It's so cute. They're cute. All the people talking about Roswell. I watched documentaries of these like burly Air Force men.
We don't have time for books, but we will watch documentaries.
Anytime, especially if it's a YouTube documentary. But they're talking about the little aliens, and they're like, I thought it was a human child, and then I got close to it. It just had like a big head, and its arms were a little too long, and was wearing like a little gray suit that kind of looked like skin but wasn't. And I'm like a bodycon dress, like what Kim Kardashian wears, where it's kind of
like
flesh colored.
Miley Cyrus at the MTV Movie Awards.
Exactly.
Or Music Awards.
So if you need to picture the aliens, picture them wearing what Miley was wearing at the
with
MTV
longer
Music
arms
Awards.
and a bigger head.
She actually does have a big head and long arms, though, so that might add up. New theory: Miley Cyrus is one of the aliens that crashed at Roswell.
I bet Miley Cyrus at some point thought that she was one of the aliens that crashed at Roswell.
For sure.
Okay, moving on.
So one thing about the memo, it surfaced in the 90s. And when it did, Dr. Donald R. Burleson, author of UFOs and the Murder of Marilyn Monroe, a classic, right? Everybody knows.
Right on the money.
Yeah, he didn't pull any punches there. Filed an appeal under the Freedom of Information Act to have the CIA release the wiretaps of Marilyn Monroe's phone. And he based this appeal very heavily on the information in this memo. Now, the CIA could have just said, that's a pile of fake garbage. We were never wiretapping our phones. That memo's not real.
Sure.
But they didn't do that. They accepted the appeal. Yeah. So did the transcripts end up getting released? No. But the appeal request was accepted initially. So that potentially indicates that this transcript is real.
Wow.
One more thing about the memo real quick. On the document, allegedly, according to one very tin hat blog that I found, there was some bleed through of ink from another document that had been sitting on top of this document, something that had been filed away with it. The name Brigadier General George Shulgin appears to have bled through in the upper left-hand corner of the document. This is important because George Shulgin was a big-time important Air Force man who had been linked by a ton of theorists to the investigations surrounding the crash at Roswell. So either a secretary was slipping a little brandy in her coffee, or they thought that this memo was important enough and connected enough to Roswell that they filed it with something of his, a report of his. What have we learned so far? Just to recap, JFK was a terrible bedtime secret keeper, and the Kennedys were the original ghosters, right?
Yes.
Yeah, don't date them, and you can't. So, Also, I think if Marilyn had access...
If time is linear.
Right. You're right. It is a flat circle. I apologize. I also think that if Marilyn had had access to an iPhone with red receipts, this would have gone very differently, because she could have taken screenshots and been like, I know you're looking at my texts, and they would have been like, you're right, we are looking at them and we just don't want to be with you. And then she probably would have been like, that stinks, but I'm moving on. I'm a famous actress.
I'm very powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
She might have been okay. Moral of the story is return people's text messages. Just, man up and reply.
No question. And then if aliens come, it's not a matter of national security to keep them hidden. Just let us know.
It might be a matter of national security. I don't trust everybody.
I trust
me. Let me know. That's all you have to do. I won't talk about it. Yes, I will.
I won't talk about it either. Lizzie and I, you can trust both of us.
Oh, for sure. We're very quiet about these things. So, 2 days after this memo is taken down, we are now at August 5th, 1962, the day that Marilyn is found dead in her Brentwood home at 12305 5th Helena Drive, which, side note, is a very cute house. I looked it up.
Yeah, you sent it to me, too.
Yeah, it's really cute.
You wouldn't tell me anything else. You just sent me a link to Marilyn Monroe's house.
Because it's like so adorable, and it's a
house.
little hacienda, and it wasn't that big, and that made me sadder than anything else, was seeing her house, because it's really cute. So the day before,
we'll never buy houses in LA.
Absolutely
okay.
not. That one only costs $5 million. So if we start saving now,
let's buy a house together, Lizzie.
Only if aliens show up and are confirmed.
Why do you have to be mean to me?
I'm not being mean. I'm putting this is an incentive for the CIA to reveal aliens to us.
I don't think the CIA has any incentive to get us in a house together.
They want us to buy a house together, and the only way that'll happen is if they reveal the existence of aliens.
It's just me throwing something out there and you hurting my feelings.
Wrong. I'll buy a house.
You can't even theoretically buy a house with me.
I can't theoretically involve myself financially with anyone. I'll rent it with you. How's that?
I don't know.
You can. It's fine. You can visit. I'll buy one maybe sometime. No, I won't.
Whatever.
All right. So the day before she died, Marilyn spoke with several friends and spent the day with her therapist, Dr. Greenwood, who, by the way, seems like a big-time creep.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was weird. And spent the day with her housekeeper as well. So her housekeeper,
big time creep, or
housekeeper is weird,
I'm
gonna say small time creep, and there are some theories that the housekeeper and the therapist were both involved in this, because they're the only two that are around when the shiz goes down.
Oh boy. By the way, I would call Rob Fusari big time creep.
Yeah.
I would call Lina Morgana's mom small time creep.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna qualify Dr. Greenwood as big time creep and housekeeper as small time creep. The housekeeper ends up spending the night with Marilyn to keep her company.
Okay, and is that normal?
It is not.
Weird. My spidey senses are tingling.
Right. Your conspiracy theory senses are tingling. Mm-hmm. So at around 8:30 p.m., Marilyn goes to bed, and that's the last anyone ever sees of her.
Which is early.
It is early. The housekeeper claims that at 3 a.m. she woke up because she sensed something was wrong, and when she went to check on Marilyn, the door was locked. So
I always wake up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, something's wrong.
Right. Let me check on my boss.
I've woken up in the middle of the night to be like, oh, I just had a weird dream. Oh, I need water. I've never been like, the person in the next room is in trouble.
I sometimes wake up and I'm like, is someone trying to get in my windows? And then
you are also exceedingly paranoid.
I know. I'll walk the perimeter of my house and check on my windows at 4 a.m. sometimes. So if you see me walking around my house, really safe and secure. Well, yeah, it doesn't take me very long to do a lap.
By house, she means one bedroom apartment.
Hey, it's, I fit
which is
a
really
bed
nice and
it.
hard to get in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
so
it's an
great.
accomplishment. I got it real cheap. Don't tell my landlord that. They don't know it's cheap.
I don't think they're going to look this up.
They're definitely not. So, all right. So here's what housekeeper does. Her spidey senses tingle, and she senses something is wrong. Right. She goes to check on Marilyn. The door is locked, but the light is on.
Uh-oh.
So she thinks that's weird. Does she call the police or a doctor? No. She calls the therapist.
Weird.
Which to me is weird because, and some argument might be like, well, they were worried about Marilyn's mental health. She was distressed. They called a therapist. It's like, no, if it's 3 a.m. and you're concerned about your friend/employer's possible desire to off themselves, you call the police.
Yeah. And also I'll say, like, it's okay to be the type of person who, like, like tries a door and it's locked and is like, oh, maybe they're having private time, you know,
Right.
whatever. But it's not okay to be that type of person and the type of person who wakes up in the middle of the night and is like, I think something's wrong with my friend.
Right.
You know?
Like, call the people who can actually do something about this. I mean, I don't know.
Therapist
maybe
doesn't have an axe to break down the door.
No, and like maybe I understand, but yeah, I it's weird. And also there are some allegations that he may have been having an affair with her as well, so it's strange.
Oh, wait, the therapist with the housekeeper?
No, with Marilyn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's weird, and that's not super confirmed, but he was a creep. So anyway,
Big time creep.
So
Labeled.
she calls the therapist. The therapist shows up, can't get into the room. He goes outside, breaks a window, goes into the room, and finds Marilyn deceased. Now, official reports say that she died of ingesting barbiturates and that it was intentional on her part. Couple of weird things about the situation. Number one, which we've already discussed, why do you call the therapist? Number two, she was in a relatively developed state of rigor mortis, which, this is gross, everyone, I apologize. But
why is it that these details are like my favorite details and they're also the grossest details?
well, because they're interesting. I mean, she was in rigor mortis. I just burped. I'm sorry, everyone. For those of you who don't know, I have really frothy, weird burps.
Frothy.
Yeah. There's someone once referred to them as Nescafe frothe burps. So
Sounds like the way an alien would burp.
yeah. Don't trust me. I'm definitely an alien.
Tell me your secrets.
I wish I knew. I would sell them. So she's in rigor mortis, which means that she had been dead for quite some time. This is at 3 a.m. that they're showing up, which means that she had to have died almost immediately after she went in her room and closed the door at 8:30 p.m. Immediately.
Maybe that's why she went to bed so early. She's like, oh, I can feel it coming on.
We gotta go now.
I mean, that might be a real thing.
Yes, 100% that could be a real thing. But she did also have a phone conversation with her ex-husband, Joe DiMaggio's son, at like 7:30 p.m. before she went to bed. And he said everything was fine. And she didn't seem strange, didn't seem weird, which people say all the time. That's not necessarily an indicator that everything is okay. But he did say he didn't notice anything. Some other strange things.
Which would be because you would have had to take it right after.
Right after.
So it's like,
immediately
all right,
after.
see ya, bye.
Yeah. Yes, literally. Let me take down 2 bottles of this stuff.
Yeah.
So, another weird thing. She had a couple of weird bruises, one on her hip and one on her lower back. These are still unexplained. To be honest,
how
though,
big are the bruises?
I think relatively big and noticeable, but like I have huge bruises on me all the time. So if I ever turn up dead,
Me too.
I'd probably just hit a table. Like,
do you ever just like look at your leg and you're like, what happened to me?
Yes, I have like what looks like fingerprint marks on me, which I can only assume is because I'm being visited by a ghost, but it has not disrupted my life thus far, so it's fine. There also weren't any needle marks reported in the initial autopsy, and it was said that she had ingested the pills orally, but initially there were no pills reported in her stomach.
What?
Yes. She also didn't have any of the yellow residue that apparently occurs with this kind of pill. Now, the guy who did the autopsy, who I'll get to in a minute, came back later and said, no, like everyone's misinterpreting this. That would actually be very common for a habitual pill user to not have the pills in their stomach. It would have been absorbed quickly, yada, yada, yada.
What?
It's a weird explanation, and it's also debated as that if whether or not that's actually real. Next weird thing.
Debated by like other medical professionals, because I would love to know.
Yeah, that is something that conspiracy theorists tend to cling to in this case. The other thing, he only runs a toxicology report on her blood and her liver, not her other organs. And when they did this, 2 different drugs appeared, both of which are well known. They were well above the amount needed to kill someone, like way above.
Wow.
And the mortician who performed the autopsy, Thomas Noguchi, he's important, felt like he had botched...
We're naming your last name now, buddy.
Yeah, well, you'll see. He's a famous mortician. So he felt that he had botched the autopsy by not testing the rest of her organs.
Okay.
So 2 weeks later, he went back and asked to run reports on the other organs, and he was informed that it was too late and they had already been disposed of. Another weird thing, normally with a high-profile case like this, the chief medical examiner would have been the one to perform the autopsy. Like, this is the sex symbol of the 1960s. She's died, and they don't bring the case to the chief medical examiner. They bring it to this lower level mortician who has not worked that many cases at this point. So
that's so weird.
Really weird.
By the way, I don't want to break up your energy, but I can tell you're in the throes of getting into your point because you keep doing this with your chair.
I am.
You've gotten into a rhythm.
I'm wiggling around because it's about to get really good.
No, it's like oh, I just hit my chin on the mic. Sorry. No, it's like
how
when
I'm working myself up.
It's like Muhammad Ali,
yeah.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. She's
Yeah.
about to sting like a bee, folks.
I am. It's my dance because I'm getting to the smoking gun. So no explanation is ever given for why the autopsy was handed to a lower level mortician with much less experience. Something else I found interesting as I was digging into this guy, he doesn't stay lower level for very long. He went on to become the chief medical examiner by the late 60s. And he performed...
Which is like becoming a famous pop star in like
for
medical
morticians,
examiner world.
Yeah, this is like becoming Lady Gaga if you are a mortician.
Yeah. And that requires sacrifice, my friend.
It does. And becoming the chief medical examiner for the city of Los Angeles, too. Which is like...
famously corrupt.
Right. Famously corrupt, but also like a lot of murders. So it's a pretty hard job and it's an important job. And he goes on to become that, and he performed autopsies on everyone from the Manson victims to Robert Kennedy himself later on. Now, here we have arrived at the part of this story that no one can explain away.
Oh, wow.
Marilyn famously kept a little red diary. And it was in this diary that she was writing down all of this stuff that she was learning from JFK and any little secrets she had, anything about who she had slept with. This was quite a book that could have been very damaging to a lot of people. Full of secrets about aliens. So the coroner's office or the police, I can't remember. I'm like blacking out right now. One of them finds this book in her house after she has died. Shortly after she's died, when they're going through her house looking for anything suspicious, they find this book. It goes into evidence. One day after her autopsy is performed, this book goes missing.
Oh my goodness.
And it has never reappeared. It has never showed up. It's never all of a sudden been like, oh, we found Marilyn's little diary. It's up for auction. No, this thing is just gone. And
that's a problem.
It's a problem and it's weird. And the only record of it existing are from her friends being like, yeah, I know about this book. I know she had it. And I know she was writing everything down in it. And it's just gone. So, here we are at the end of this. Who did it? The answer is nobody knows. There are theories that the CIA killed her because they were afraid that she was going to expose the alien information. There are theories that they killed her as a point of pressure on the Kennedys, as in like, you see what we can do if you cross us, which may not have panned out super well for them later on. Again, allegedly, CIA, big fan. And then this is the one that I actually don't buy, which is a pretty common theory. This theory goes that Bobby Kennedy was the one that killed her because he was afraid that she would expose him and his brother and ruin their political careers. Here's why I don't buy this. She was very public about this affair. And so many people knew that
and
JFK...
if anything, that makes you look cool.
No. Yeah. And like, it's not... And like everybody...
Oh, you had an affair with Marilyn Monroe? What a weirdo.
Right.
Like,
and like
nice.
Everybody knew that JFK had a massive womanizing habit. Like that was common knowledge. So I don't totally buy that they would have been willing to kill somebody for revealing that information. I'm not buying that. So the moral of the story here is poor Marilyn. Like, I just think she didn't get it. I think she didn't understand the level of the information she was dealing with. And, also just don't discuss proof of aliens that you've learned in a president's bed in open settings. It might seem like the best party gossip, but it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for Marilyn because I am also bad at keeping secrets.
Me too.
And
this would totally be me.
If someone told me about aliens, I would start drinking and just start telling my friends about it and be like,
you are not gonna believe
this. Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone. You gotta keep this a secret. But there's little green men in Roswell. I'm sorry, they were gray, actually. I should be factually accurate about that. Little gray men.
Birthday, little gray alien. Little gray alien.
Yeah, I like to think that maybe she's partying with the aliens now.
The ones who died in the crash.
Yeah, they're in the galaxy.
Do you think we go to the same afterlife as aliens?
Yes. I think we're up there with David Bowie and the little gray aliens. And the dinosaurs, and that there's we're hanging out on the space base on the dark side of the moon, which is also real.
And Lina Morgana is performing for us.
I guess if she has to be there.
She actually wasn't that great.
Well, yeah, she didn't become the fame monster, which is probably what happened there.
I had a whole thing I was going to say about calling everyone her little monsters when she herself is the monster.
Oh, interesting.
It would have been cool in the moment, but missed it.
Yeah. Well, it'll come back again. I'll leave you with one last thing, which is that Marilyn's second husband, Joe DiMaggio, who she remained close to even after they divorced, does very clearly lay the blame of her death on the Kennedys.
Really?
Yes. Now, he doesn't
not
outrightly...
just by like... Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to answer what you're about to ask. He doesn't say like they specifically murdered her, but he has always said, I know who is responsible for her death. I feel very strongly about it. He apparently ended his friendship with Frank Sinatra when Frank Sinatra introduced her to the Kennedys.
Wow.
And he always felt that her becoming involved in that circle of people and the mob ties that were connected there became her downfall. Whether or not it was of her own doing or someone else's doing, that's unclear how he feels about that. But he was not their biggest fan.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you have it. There you have it. Marilyn Monroe knew about aliens, and she had a big mouth about aliens, and that was a mistake. And that's what we've learned today. So if you ever learn something about aliens, I guess keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer.
I don't like to encourage silencing your voice.
Yeah. Okay. Tell
Write
us
to our P.O. box.
Yeah, which we don't have.
666 Illuminati Avenue.
Oh, yeah, that is it. I forgot we opened that up.
Amazing that it was available.
Yeah, you would think that someone else would have grabbed that.
Uh-oh.
Beyonce. She's busy. They're busy. They don't need that. Yeah, all of them. Wow. And again, as we said previously in our podcast with Rhett and Link, we would happily accept an invite from the Illuminati. Unless it requires
kill my own mother.
No, if it requires a ritual.
I mean, let me know.
Yeah, if it's less the scary part of Eyes Wide Shut and more the boring part, it's okay. Actually, the whole thing was weird and kind of boring. So no part of that movie am I on board.
I would be a part of any part of Eyes Wide Shut.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. So,
I never really remember how it goes. I stand by
I remember how it goes. I remember it's the most boring sex party ever on film.
Ooh, I forgot about that part.
It's a snooze, which is amazing. It's a snooze of an orgy, which is not how you would think that would go.
Yeah, the only thing that you don't want someone to say when they're walking away from your orgy is
it was boring.
It was a snooze.
Oh, no.
Boring.
That if I'm being honest, I feel like that is, if I were to host an orgy, that would be
exhausting.
The comment. Everyone would leave feeling bored and tired.
There were too many crudités, not enough.
In no way satisfied.
Kissing, not enough kissing.
Kissing? Yes, Ellie. There was not enough kissing.
I don't want them to cut it out, Lizzie.
They won't cut it out. Yeah.
I want to say that I have a very strong theory. This is just separate and this is relevant.
Okay.
That Taylor Swift will be surprise dropping her new album on July 13th, 2017, so in 3 days.
But just so you know, this is the second time she's predicted this. And the first time was for June 16th.
June 13th.
June 13th, I'm sorry. So I'm expecting you to predict it every month until it happens.
No. But listen, this is what I got wrong was that I thought it was because this is her 6th studio album. 13 is her lucky number.
Right.
And it would have messed with Katy Perry's first week album sales of her newest album, Witness, which obviously they're in a feud. But she released an EP called Beautiful Eyes. And so this new album will technically be her 7th release, 7/13. 17. Doesn't that roll off the tongue better?
It does. And then when it doesn't happen, you will find an 8th release. That means that it could potentially happen in August.
Okay, so regardless of date, I do think she's going to pull a Beyonce or a Frank Ocean and just drop it in the middle of the night with no fanfare. Because
I think so too.
We don't have the patience with her to have a full album promo.
No.
People are, in this age of internet, they get annoyed with celebrities too soon. It's the way of the past. This is the future. She's just going to want to prove to everyone her biggest strength, which is that she's one of the best songwriters of all time. And she's also a bad person. So Taylor's a wonderful person. I love her. I'll support her. Also, to bring this full circle, she's evil and she's amazing.
Yeah, she's a nice queen and I love her. All right, well, I think that wraps this up. Big thank you to you, CIA, for listening, both here on this podcast and to me while I sleep.
Same here. Thank you. A huge fan, loyal patriot.
Big fans. You can find our videos if you want to watch us legally on our YouTube channel. Well, everyone's YouTube channel. This is Mythical. We have videos that air every Thursday. So please tune into those instead of my phone calls. Yeah,
we just did one where we put on makeup on a mechanical bull. And it was
it's a treasure.
Really hard. And my legs were sore for a full week afterward.
A long time. So make sure you watch that and watch everything else on This Is Mythical because it's like pretty fun and stuff. And it's not my phone calls. Again, stop listening to me.
It's fine. Anything that you do is fine. Okay, bye.
Bye.